It's going to be a Clairsire into the Toxapex. How does this go for Reed?
We've seen it before. That Toxapex is no longer threatened by the absence of Earthquake on Clairsire. PvpDavid happy to stay in. Let's remember that Poison Jab is double resisted by Clairsire. Poison Sting, single resisted by Toxapex.
I'm trying to see where this is going to go, right? Because if you're able to soft lose this with the Clairsire, yeah, what a crazy phrase. Soft lose the Toxapex with a Clairsire. Then you can actually use that Gastrodon to clean up the Toxapex, and that looks great into the backline.
At what point do you think about bringing in the Annihilate, or do you stay in if you're PvpDavid? Let this matchup play out, because you know that there is an Azumarill in the back.
Well, you have to, yeah, you would have to know that, because if you have Annihilate into this Clairsire, there has to be Annihilate answers in the back, right? You wouldn't bring the Clairsire cold turkey with no counters.
Well, I suppose in the first series, Stone Collection played with a Shadow Feraligatr and a Shadow Drapion, so maybe PvpDavid thinks that that is the line that Stone Collection is going for again.
So this Brian's going to land and actually get it into a pretty low health range. Toxapex looks so good in this matchup. But of course, we're going to be landing these Stone Edges now. Brian about to be reached. Does he go for a catch? Does he hard pivot into this Gastrodon?
This is a big Stone Edge. It's not going to be enough to take out the Toxapex. The Toxapex is still plenty of health. Not going to be an easy Poison Sting down either.
Oh!
PvpDavid allowing Stone Collection to get to that.
You can't get rid of this.
That's very interesting. Are you going to let this go down and then come in with the Annihilate?
I like that. Maybe he can counter all the way down, but at the same time, he's going to have to take some charge attacks. Oh, amazing pivot from Stone Collection.
Do you throw a Rage Fist and then go into an Azumarill, or do you bank the Rage Fist and go into
I think you should make it, right? Because if you're throwing it, then you're wasting the entire purpose of the attack, which is to boost your attack. You're not throwing that Rage Fist for huge damage, right?
I completely agree. I think you save the Rage Fist, use your 2 shields later on the Annihilate when you can get the advantage of the boost the whole way through. Gastrodon, it's got that Mud Slap pressure, but Body Slam would be double resisted by Annihilate.
The clocks are weirdly misaligned now, right? Because he can somehow come in with his Clairsire to maybe tank some energy from the Azumarill, basically force it to throw before it gets to a Sludge Bomb, right?
Mm-hmm. I like that, I like that. And here comes the next play rough from Stone Collection against PvpDavid. Maybe one more is needed to take out that bulky Azumarill. I mean,
I think he's just trying to bring it in. You just try to bring the Clairsire. Love that. He's bringing the Clairsire, forcing some energy to be used. Look, he's locked in here. He's just trying to wait for that Annihilate to be brought in. Yes, this is perfect for Stone Collection.
Yeah, but I really like this from PvpDavid as well. Over-farming on that Azumarill. Yes, you're taking Poison Stings, but you still got a ton of energy and taking out the Clairsire before it threatens with a Sludge Bomb.
I think at this point, Gastrodon, he brings in the Annihilate, throws the Rage Fist.
I low-key love this.
Okay,
yeah, but because your first counters are now boosted.
Okay, sure, you're going to give away a free Mud Slap. So does Stone Collection just 2 shield Mud Slap through the entire Annihilate? This is a bit, oh wow. This is a bit of a conflict of interest, because if you throw a Rage Fist, right, you're going to have to, yeah, you have to throw at some point. But like, you should have thrown earlier, right? Then the counters may have already taken out the Gastrodon.
I think you probably could have, because now you're in a bit of a weird...
Oh, the one counter might take out, because that boost. What do we think?
Do you just double shield? Get the oh, this is a little bit awkward now.
The Azumarill has energy, or it can bubble down as well. Oh, it doesn't take it out. That's really... Oh, and he sneaks the bubble.
This is a little bit uncomfortable, but actually you're getting the shield back. Your Azumarill can now come back in. This is a little bit awkward, I think, for both players. The Azumarill is available to come back in for PvpDavid. There is a play rough.
Not in play rough range, though. Not even close to play rough range. And now he can go for this play rough. He has the Body Slam loaded on the Gastrodon for that Annihilate.
I think David had to throw a Rage Fist earlier against the Gastrodon to get that.
I think he would have actually countered all the way down.
Yes, I agree.
But he was trying to decide, can I counter down or should I Rage Fist? And he made that decision too late. If he were able to see that a little bit earlier, he may have been able to win this game. But for now, it looks like this play rough just going to be reached pretty cleanly.
Yeah, okay, the play rough comes in, and now the Azumarill, yes, exactly. The Azumarill can't be counted down from here. So this is a great position for Stone Collection. I think PvpDavid, if he had just gone for that extra Rage Fist against the Gastrodon, he could have been enough.
So maybe I would have liked to see him do one counter before that Rage Fist first of all, because missing that counter, we saw how that damage impacted him at the end game, right?
No, because if you do one counter, I still think you're taking another Mud Slap. Because you were one turn behind.
One turn behind, so 2 counters.
Yeah, you'd have to do 2
Rage Fist. You had to commit to throwing Rage Fist the entire way. As soon as you got the Rage Fist, you need to throw it off and just ramp up that counter.
I don't dislike the instant Rage Fist throw, because those 2 counters
I think that makes
would then have been unboosted. But I do think he should have done the second.
But if he was going to Rage Fist, he should have done it way earlier.
So I think the situation was that
he couldn't recognize if he could counter down.
Yeah, but in a 0 shield scenario, if you land one Rage Fist, you can full counter down. The difficulty with this situation is that his Annihilate was not on full health, so he couldn't do it in the same way.
Exactly, and that may have been the difference between the zero shield scenario where you already have 6 counters on that Gastrodon and that Rage Fist. Here, you didn't have those 6 counters. You already had about 80% health deficit, so then the Gastrodon just too oppressive with the Mud Slap damage. The only way to resist that here is that Moltres. You have to expect that Gastrodon every single game. How are you going to overcome it? It's going to be Toxapex into the Gastrodon. What is PvpDavid going to do?
This is a terrible matchup for Toxapex. It's a brilliant matchup for Gastrodon. You have to go straight into your Annihilate. This is okay to be in. Does Gastrodon stay in, try and get a bit of damage first? Azumarill is coming in now. That makes a lot of sense. The boosts are going to start coming through. Honestly, I don't dislike this for Annihilate because you're shielding up anyway. So the extra Mud Slap damage from that Gastrodon doesn't really affect this matchup. If anything, you're getting to your boosts a little bit quicker than you otherwise would have.
The thing is, the Gastrodon, with that energy advantage, is able to mow down the Azumarill later. Because if it can mow down the Azumarill in the 2 shields, the Toxapex, it doesn't matter what health range that is at. The Feraligatr will always be able to clean up the Toxapex with a little bit of chip from the Gastrodon.
Do you start to invest more into this Annihilate now then? Or do
I think you have to let it go.
Back up? You're going to let it go? I think I'd maybe just commit to an Annihilate. Make sure you don't have that Toxapex up against the Gastrodon.
Because what are you going to do against this Gastrodon?
You pray.
Right now?
You pray.
You have to cope and pray. We're going to throw that Rage Fist here. I think this is going to go probably no shielded by Stonecollection, honestly. He can just Mud Slap down this Annihilate with 1 shield. Okay, he's going to opt to...
I don't know. Now you can full counter this
this is really weird now. But he can Ice Beam. He has energy on the Gastrodon, and there's a catch on the Azumarill. What a brilliant play by PvpDavid. But this kind of just invites the Feraligatr.
I like this play. I like this play because you don't have a hard answer against the Azumarill from Stonecollection. The Feraligatr is what's coming in. It's a 1-shield scenario, so this is not terrible by any means, but that Gastrodon looks like a real threat in the back. I think the Gastrodon will be massive for Stonecollection in the end game.
Here's the thing, right? You have swapped out your Annihilate which had a lot of boosts on it. This Azumarill is going to win the 1-shield scenario against the Feraligatr, or you play at the zeros, but then the Feraligatr leaves with a lot of energy. And then third, if you win this 1-shield scenario, Gastrodon will farm you down.
This is very, very tricky. Can you afford to shield this Azumarill if you are PvpDavid? Or
I don't think so.
Let it go.
You have to, you have to let it go, because if the Gastrodon basically wins this matchup, takes it down after losing this matchup, the Annihilate has no opportunity to do anything against the Gastrodon.
When do you come back in with Annihilate? You throw an Ice Beam here.
Oh, this is perfect for Stonecollection, because you're simply...
Now you hard swap into Annihilate if you're David, is that right?
Yeah, you have to, because if you give away that Mud Slap, you're just going to be outpaced somewhere
Then you're going to get full farm down as well, which is a bit
just immediate into the Gastrodon. Does he go into the Azumarill catch? Yes, that's exactly what he does. Perfect plays by Stonecollection. I think I saw that one coming.
I think you have to go for that catch, and you can't not throw, right? It's almost like automatic that that catch is guaranteed.
Oh, wow. It hangs on. I don't know if that exactly can help PvpDavid here. He gets the Poison Jab down. Here comes that Gastrodon. Just goes straight for that Earth Power. No reason to bait. I think if he actually baits there, it could get a little weird. If you're PvpDavid now, is there an opportunity to Sludge Wave and farm down?
I don't think so.
He would need to no shield a charge attack, but like Sludge Wave, it's better than Brine, right? So it's more raw damage. He goes for the Brine. This is a bait. So, of course, it goes shielded, but can PvpDavid...
You're not going to reach a Sludge Wave.
No, I think you have to settle for Brine, but it's just simply not
enough. The Earth Power is so close to coming through.
You have to catch on the Azumarill. No. So patient is Stonecollection, and now can simply do another Mud Slap and go for the Earth Power. Has the Body Slam and the Earth Power bang. This is going to be taking down that big bulky Toxapex from that super effective Earth Power onto the Toxapex.
And it lands and Toxapex goes down. PvpDavid 2 games down to Stonecollection. But let's remember, this is the grand finals. PvpDavid is on the winner's side of the bracket. So even if Stonecollection wins this match, there will be another best of 5.
However, you never want your opponent going into that ultimate finals with this much of a momentum lead. However, we saw players like Lyle Jeffs III. They went 0-3 against Arrow in that initial grand finals. And then the reset, he just turned it around real quick. Maybe PvpDavid just needs that mental reset, is using these games somewhat as a test against Stonecollection to see what his plans are. And in the grand finals, the ultimate grand finals, he'll kick right back with that Galar Moltres.
Would it be time now to consider that Galar Moltres?
Galar Moltres, at this point, it seems way too obvious to be bringing it, right?
Yeah.
He brought 2 lines that were significantly weak to the Gastrodon.
Well, let's find out. We're getting into this game 3. This could be massive for these players. It's an Annihilate into Feraligatr. Both players probably going to stay in here.
Here's a problem. We see the Galar Moltres in the back, but as we talked about just now, it's not going to look very good. Stone Collection is very aware of the fact that Galar Moltres now looks good into his squad.
Yeah, but you know what? Stone Collection doesn't actually have an answer for this Annihilate. So if it does bully through this Feraligatr, it can probably get off a decent amount of damage.
I think you no-shield this and you come in with a Drapion.
Well, Stone Collection disagrees, and I can understand why, because you want to get both shields off, and I think that does make a lot of sense.
I think as soon as he gets the shield, he should be happy to just switch into the Drapion. But does PvpDavid go for a catch? He exactly goes for the catch onto the Azumarill. We saw him do this earlier, and we're going to see him do it again.
Difficulty being the Feraligatr refarms back up to a Hydro Cannon.
Exactly. And he can farm to not just Hydro Cannon, but more than Hydro Cannon, because these bubbles aren't very threatening. He can even farm to minimal HP and get a... Okay, he goes just for the Hydro Cannon.
I think this makes sense. You don't want to misalign the switch clocks too much. Come in with this Dugong. Play rough, it is neutral damage. It won't do too much. Dugong is super, super bulky, but this is a pretty decent position for Stone Collection. Can he remember how much energy is on that Annihilate?
Yeah, I would have liked to see him do one more Shadow Claw, though, because when he came in, it wasn't on perfect sync, so he couldn't sneak an Ice Shard when he threw the Play Rough. I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I get exactly what you mean, but I don't think it's going to make a ton of difference for Stone Collection at this point. He just needed to get into this Dugong, protect his Feraligatr, which has that Hydro Cannon banked. Here comes the next Play Rough. This is still going to do a decent chunk. Dugong,
so much energy here, though.
Yeah, massively bulky.
But now, you can't bring in anything to this because it has so much energy. He's going to farm up so much. This is extremely awkward for David. CMP, I think, yeah. Oh, he goes for the charge attack priority here with the drill, right before the Play Rough. He's going to land this off. Annihilate can't take it out in 2 counters. No. So it would mean that Stone Collection can land an Icy Wind. Yeah,
and you can't even look for a catch.
Because there's no reason to catch on the Galarian Moltres. Now, you have to let us go. Put it on the back of the Galarian Moltres. You have to read that it's a Gastro on the back. That's PvpDavid's only chance here. It is in the back, though, and he's going to show
Galarian Moltres comes in. Stone Collection has a shield available. The Drapion comes in. Drapion with a great matchup into the Galarian Moltres because it resists those sucker punches. And it's just a lot of work for Galarian Moltres to do. Let's remember, Feraligatr also has a Hydro Cannon banked.
Aquatail _1, gonna land on this Galarian Moltres. This might be good information to see if it does 50% damage. Yes, that's pretty good information as to how bulky this Galarian Moltres is. PvpDavid might want to shield this to preserve that information, see how many poison stings would it need to take out this Galarian Moltres. This is really useful information, honestly, if you're Stone Collection, knowing you can put it into a couple poison stings range after 2 Aquatails.
That is a massive victory for Stone Collection, resetting the bracket in superb style. 3 games to 0. He has won 6 games back-to-back now against Tonton Batuza, and then PvpDavid puts himself into the grand finals with the bracket reset. Both players now have everything to play for.
He is on an absolute run. I think even he's impressed with what he just did there, because again, he smiled at the camera. Not something he said he did too much, but that must mean even he's a little bit proud of himself inside.
The way that it works now is that both players get an opportunity to rest. They can try and take some breath, look at the games that have happened and try and readjust. PvpDavid 3 games down in that first bracket reset, but like you said, many players have come back straight from that situation because they've identified what are the strategies that my opponent is really, really leaning into. What have they highlighted as their best win conditions, and how can I suppress them? That is what David needs to do now, and perhaps one of the advantages of being as calm as PvpDavid is he's not molding, he's not getting really upset or really anxious. He is just cool, calm, and collected. Be composed.
I almost feel like we're not playing a Show 6 anymore. Both these players have identified only 3 to 4 picks from each other that are going to be used over and over again. So that kind of narrows the field of vision to not what is my opponent going to bring here, but in which order are they going to bring them.
Yes, and perhaps that Annihilate, I think, leave it in the back, because you're seeing that Stone Collection is giving a lot of play for Annihilate in the back, particularly when it has two shields available. That Rage Fist potential. David could have won if he'd thrown one of those Rage Fists against a Gastrodon early in those games.
And it's allowing someone like PvpDavid to maybe play a more risky lead, knowing that you can always bail out onto that Annihilate as long as you're not playing ABA weak to something that is also good against Annihilate. Say Moltres in the front, you can't have Annihilate in the back. So you need to play a little bit stronger to one of those counters like Azumarill in the front and pray that you see the Azumarill there and then just bail into the Annihilate if you don't see it.
What would you run if you were PvpDavid? Looking at this team, what would you run?
I honestly like what he ran with the Toxapex in the front and the Annihilate in the back. I thought that made plenty of sense. And maybe you play that even with the Galarian Moltres in the back. I would have liked to see that a lot more, because then you're giving a unique advantage for like how you're going to draw out that Azumarill.
Do you want to know what I would do?
Sure.
I would play ABA weak to Azumarill. I would lead the Galarian Moltres.
With the Annihilate in the back.
With an Annihilate in the back and an Azumarill. And what I would do is I would take an Ice Beam on my Galarian Moltres.
Brave Bird and bring the
Brave Bird, get a shield or a lot of damage, right? If you get a shield, go in with your own Azumarill with a shield advantage. If you do the damage, go in with the Annihilate, shield your Annihilate, and full counter down, because there's no real answer otherwise to that Annihilate. So with energy, that could be very, very strong.
Wow, that's a really nice idea.
The other thing is if they lead Shadow Drapion, again, do a very similar thing. With the Galarian Moltres, don't shield anything.
Use Brave Bird once or Ancient Power Bait probably.
Yeah, either. I think you can do either. But you try and get that first shield, then you go into your Azumarill, because the best answers to Azumarill that is on Stone Collection side is that Sludge Bomb Clairsire, and that's a little bit awkward to bring for Stone Collection. So I don't know. Me personally, that's what I would try. If David tries it and it doesn't work, then I don't know, but it's very difficult now. This team composition is a little bit tough, but you know that Azumarill is there. So if you can commit the Azumarill against something that isn't Annihilate, maybe Annihilate can sweep.
Now you've heard it, a couple of different ways in which each player could win this game, whether that's my plan, what PvpDavid has already been doing, or what Fareed thinks. While the players get into these games, let us know, #PlayPokemon or @PlayPokemon on Twitter or Instagram. We'd love to see what you think is going to happen in these grand finals, or simply drop us a comment in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, we really like to hear from you. Get those social posts. We want to show off exactly where you are, where you're watching from, and who you are supporting. These players now have everything to play for. This final best of 5 here at the Stuttgart Regional Championships. They have gone such a long way to get to this point, and they are so close to being ready for this final set.
Don't forget, this best of 5 not only determines the winner of this tournament, but the winner of this tournament is going to earn an auto invitation to the World Championships. While these players might rack up a lot of points, it's nice to see on our graphic, on our leaderboard, that little ticket next to your name.
I know, Eric, I wish I had one. And that also get their little image on the winners, right? It's a legacy you get reminded about for years to come. We've spoken this weekend about reigning champion was Colin 6, obviously, and these players want to be that reigning champion when we arrive potentially in Stuttgart next year.
Stuttgart is one of those regionals that is always so stacked because we only have 4 groups here generally, and that's kind of where a lot of great players aren't even making it to day 2, making day 1 a lot harder, but day 2, you know there's not as many of those big names you have to deal with. Of course, still here we have PvpDavid and Stone Collection left in these grand finals. Both of them look so focused. PvpDavid is just staring down at his phone.
I have a new idea.
Okay.
Toxapex lead, Diggersby safe swap, Annihilate in the back.
What does that do here?
You use the Toxapex and you hard swap Diggersby to try and draw out the Azumarill.
Yeah, because that's a pretty good matchup. Diggersby often, if you get the debuff on the first Scorching Sands, 30% chance, of course, you're able to get the Azumarill into a range where it can't take you out with 2 Ice Beams.
And then you can soft lose that matchup, and then you can aggressively come in with the Annihilate.
Exactly, and the Rage Fist, because you outpace by so much, you're able to just launch that Rage Fist off before they even get to a charge tag. If they shield, then you're happy to shield back and go and just bang, 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 all the way down.
Yeah, and I want to see that. Let's get straight into this first game of the Grand Finals reset.
Azumarill and the Toxapex, what a line by you, and that's exactly what I thought PvpDavid should do. Toxapex with Annihilate and Moltres in the back. It's going to be an immediate swap into this Drapion.
This is a massive counter swap for PvpDavid. You can shield up the Annihilate when you're ready to guarantee the alignment. That is the most important thing. This team needs the alignment. Toxapex onto Azumarill is a massive, massive piece of motion for PvpDavid.
But you're going to see an immediate problem, right? Stone Collection, if he no-shields this attack, he's going to be able to win the zero-shield scenario.
Don't worry about the shield. Don't worry about the shields. Protect Annihilate.
Yep, he's going to go for this Aqua Tail immediately here. And of course, this cannot go no-shielded. PvpDavid content to counter all the way down. And now, it's Gastrodon versus the entire world. The question here is, if Gastrodon can somehow muscle through the Galarian Moltres...
Do you think it can?
With 2 shields, I don't think it's out of the question. As long as he can take down Galarian Moltres, the Toxapex is not in a great position in the back.
I don't know. I think PvpDavid is in a very dominant position here. Galarian Moltres with such a nice matchup into the ground-type mud-slapping Gastrodon. So let's see this Annihilate go down. Toxapex will come in. Stone Collection immediately pivoting into the Gastrodon as expected. And now the Galarian Moltres can punish. It has 2 shields to get through, though. And let's remember, Ancient Power is resisted.
Yeah, let's see. I think you just go straight for Ancient Power here. No real reason to go for the Braver. That might be the only lose condition if you're PvpDavid. Body Slam.
Even as soon as you start chipping, right? The Toxapex then has an easier matchup.
You only have one shield though, so as long as you land an Ancient Power, you should be able to Sucker Punch all the way down. Here we go, Ancient Power #1 coming down onto this Gastrodon. Does Stonecollection shield? I think there's no other choice here.
You have to, right? Because the Azumarill cannot do anything against Toxapex, so you have to preserve the Gastrodon.
This is still okay though. I think this is 2 Body Slam range. As long as you can exit this matchup with even a sliver of health, you should be able to threaten the Toxapex with an Earth Power.
Galar Moltres, Sucker Punch coming through, one after another. These are doing big damage. Another Ancient Power being thrown just before Stonecollection reaches that next Body Slam.
You might want to no-shield this, and okay, I thought that would...
You have to protect the Gastrodon, you have to.
Because it would, it's very...
You have an Ice Beam on the Azumarill, remember, so maybe you're looking to get a Body Slam. If you were to take the shield, then you would snipe, right? But look, Gastrodon is so low that Toxapex can clean up here.
Yeah, Toxapex can get a Poison Jab all the way down. Azumarill, it can try its best in the back, but what are you going to do up against the big, bulky Toxapex?
I like this. Just take down the Gastrodon because you know that even Mudslaps are doing a lot of damage. PvpDavid, he is so back.
We are so back here in the Grand Finals reset. PvpDavid ends Stonecollection 6-game win streak, and now he's starting to get in his head. Stonecollection just thinking about what he's going to do in this next game. What are the adjustments he needs to make? I thought PvpDavid's line of Toxapex, Annihilate, and Moltres, which I called, was pretty accurate. And
yeah, that was a great call.
If I'm able to know that, surely Stonecollection is starting to pick up on it.
I don't know. I don't think many people know what's going on in your head, Eric, but Stonecollection definitely needs to readjust, try and get into the head of his opponent, PvpDavid. That was a massive alignment-based game for David. He recognized that, protected the Annihilate, because the way that he could have lost is letting that Drapion win the zeros.
Drapion always wins the zeros against Annihilate when you no-shield the Rage Fist, but there was no chance that PvpDavid was ever going to let that happen. Drapion may be better in the lead, honestly, at this point. It's probably the most unexpected thing from Stonecollection's side. If you're him, you want to try to catch off guard like a Azumarill lead with a Moltres in the back and maybe Annihilate in the middle, right? Because if he swaps in Annihilate, then you're simply going to throw a Crunch and then dip into something like the Azumarill to tank that energy.
Yeah.
So many options for Stonecollection if you just lead that Drapion. He's used it as a swap.
You like the Drapion lead. That's what you would do if you were Stonecollection?
Right now, I would lead Drapion. He hasn't done any of these games, and it looks good into a lot of these matchups as long as it's not Annihilate. PvpDavid is recognizing that Annihilate's not been good in the lead. It's been better in the back. Yep. So both players are recognizing these different things, but from my perspective, I think Drapion in the lead is amazing right now.
I don't dislike that idea. PvpDavid might need to try a different variation of teams because he needs to get Stonecollection to stop predicting, try and get the leads. Let's have a look. We have Annihilate into Clairsire. This is a great lead for PvpDavid. We've seen Stonecollection in the past just stay in and try and soft lose. Let's see if PvpDavid recognizes that.
If he soft loses this matchup, he's happy to clean up with the Gastrodon or even the Feraligatr. I believe his Feraligatr doesn't have Crunch, so it should have some play up against the Toxapex.
Yeah, but Azumarill doesn't have a huge amount of answers once this Clairsire goes down. So PvpDavid could play this similarly to how he played it in those winners finals. Soft losing the zeros, farming down with the Azumarill and trying to sweep the game that way.
He doesn't want to bring the Feraligatr after this though, probably, because you're going to take too much counter damage. Of course, this charge attack priority, not going to knock out the Clairsire. I like just throwing it immediately. Before he's tried to throw close combat, now he recognizes that that close combat was never going to be enough. So this Sludge Drop landing, I think you even go for an immediate pivot to Feraligatr. It might be in 6 Shadow Claw range.
If you do, I would expect PvpDavid to instantly answer with the Toxapex, but that could be key because if the Toxapex gets aligned against the Gastrodon, you're in trouble.
Wait, he could catch up to the Toxapex, but that wouldn't be a very good play. Gastrodon in the back.
You full counter down, get your shield back with a close combat later, right?
Yeah,
that
makes
more sense.
I think here you can just come straight in with the Gastrodon. You don't want to get farmed down. Oh, Feraligatr, I like that too. Can you just no-shield this? Do you just say...
I mean, it's going to do a ton of damage.
You just say we put this on the Gastrodon.
Okay. Now what do? Do you come in with Toxapex? If David comes in with Toxapex, he does come in with Toxapex. That's pretty massive. But let's remember, Stonecollection has Crunch, like you said, so that will give him a little bit more play than it otherwise would have.
And here, it's still not done yet because that Gastrodon is so good in the back against the Azumarill. It usually wins the even shield scenario. If he can somehow farm down this Toxapex here, he could be in a great spot. The Sludge Wave, if it gets shielded, could make things uncomfortable.
I like this. You basically say goodbye for Alligator because it didn't shield. Stonecollection putting everything onto that Gastrodon.
Okay, Gastrodon comes in here because the timers aren't up. I think Stonecollection recognizes that is brilliant, knowing he can get a huge energy advantage here.
Yeah, Brian off, then go into Azumarill, right?
Okay, Brian comes. Does he throw the Body Slam though first? No, he's just going to farm all the way down. You can go into Azumarill.
You need to straight pivot into Azumarill. You have to.
Yes, but he's already so ahead on energy. Does that?
Can't, the switch,
no,
the
he's
switch
gonna
can't.
get farmed down completely. Another mud slap goes down. Why does he let it go down?
Because now he has Annihilate potentially as a switch option, right? As a catch option. So I don't dislike that.
He goes straight for the Earth Power. If a debuff comes here, it could basically seal the deal.
No shield this.
You have to no-shield this Earth Power. Before, he's tried the bait. He did get away with it. This time, gonna go straight for that Earth Power.
Hold on a minute. You're in range of one Ice Beam, basically. So this could be critical. If you get this shield correct, David, then you could potentially take this game. If you allow this Earth Power to land, you're in trouble. You do correctly get that shield. That is massive for PvpDavid.
No debuff on the side of PvpDavid, but of course, this Ice Beam is enough to knock out that Gastrodon. He just needs to get to another Ice Beam. Stonecollection, of course, still has the option to make that catch, but on PvpDavid's side, he has that option as well.
Catch could be a lose condition for both players here.
Is his Earth Power going to be enough? A catch? No!
He went early! He went early!
He have the Earth Power. No! It's going to be enough! Oh, this is a great idea. This is a great idea.
Earth Power, you win CMP.
Yeah.
You win Charge Trap Priority.
This is a lovely idea from Stonecollection here, using the Earth Power, just making sure that it's going to knock out. I don't think it was not going to knock out before, but again, recognizing that there's no way to lose here. Earth Power knocks out the Azumarill with those Poison Stings, and Stonecollection is playing so clean in that game.
Do you know what I think you need to do there?
Not catch on the Annihilate.
I think with the Azumarill, you stay in versus the Gastrodon.
Makes sense.
When it reaches the Earth Power, because the Gastrodon knows that it will win CMP, they expect you to try and catch.
Sure.
So don't try and catch. Stay in with the Azumarill.
It's so hard because these players are aware of these tactics. They're aware they need to wait turns to make sure that this doesn't happen. But PvpDavid, what he did there, trying to catch a little early, that just was never going to be the play because he wasn't even at the Earth Power.
I think that if Stonecollection were even at the Earth Power, what he would have done...
One more.
No, I think he would have gone into the Clairsire.
Okay.
Because if he throws the Earth Power, then you risk a catch. So he would have tried to counter catch.
We're seeing familiar leads in our game number 3 here for Alligator into Annihilate. What does the backline look like, though? It's going to be pretty alignment dependent. However, we've seen Toxapex be a huge problem for that Azumarill, so the Stonecollection know that may be a possibility and he needs to get shields down quick.
Okay, last time PvpDavid caught one of the Hydro Cannons from Alligator onto his Azumarill.
And if that lures out the Drapion.
Yeah, but if he does that this time, he risks not luring out the Drapion and not getting the alignment he needs. If he stays in, full counters the way through, he will get alignment and he could win this game that way.
What do you think Stonecollection expects then? Look, he's going all the way to the end. If this takes out, yeah, I think PvpDavid recognized that he may need the alignment here. I think Stonecollection will probably just come in with the Azumarill, happy to, yeah, not instant pivoting obviously, but needing to get the Shadow Claw damage here, using the shield advantage with the Drapion to try to close out this game.
I love this from PvpDavid. He basically matches that Azumarill. He invites Stonecollection to stay in a little bit, but then also to potentially come in with that Drapion, because let's remember, a close combat does a lot more to a Drapion than it does to an Azumarill. So Stonecollection needs to preserve a shield for the close combat unless he comes in with Drapion into this Azumarill.
He's aware of that, and knowing that he will just stay in through this entire matchup, play it out, have that slight advantage, and when the Toxapex comes in, I think when the Toxapex comes in, you just need to bring in your Drapion. You try to get out the Annihilate, you Poison Sting all the way down, and then you try to win, just having the energy advantage on the Drapion.
How do your zero shield scenario look, Toxapex versus Drapion, if there's no defense drop?
I think Toxapex should win. With the counter damage from the Annihilate, they should be able to just do 2 Bryans, but it depends, of course, on the health product of his Drapion. It could have a very high health.
You try and catch an attack if you're PvpDavid, you now try and catch one onto the Toxapex from this Azumarill.
Oh, that feels so weird. I think it's better to try to make a combo play with that Annihilate, if anything. Play Rough's going to come through here, and now...
do you hold on?
No, there's no way you hold on.
You don't think so?
Yeah, no, Play Rough should be enough to knock out
close.
this Azumarill here.
Close.
It'll be really close. Oh, he does hold on by
Look
just
at that!
a little.
He gets the Play Rough off against the Drapion. That is massive!
This is, I don't think he can win anymore because this is...
David or Stone?
Stone can't win anymore because he shouldn't have taken that Play Rough.
Oh, this is interesting.
Okay, he can maybe Poison Sting down, but there's going to be 2 Rage Fists launched. I think that's it. Toxapex
Hold. Let's see, because Drapion does a ton of damage as well. If you can Poison Sting this down.
No, you can't.
The Rage Fist is reached. This is massive. It's going to take out the Shadow Drapion.
Rage Fist boosted onto the Shadow Drapion. Is it enough? It is enough. And now Toxapex needs to just simply play clean up here.
Here it comes.
Toxapex onto the Azumarill. This is the best day ever for PvpDavid. At the same time, I think he did not need to use that Drapion to eat the play rough. If he just stayed in with the Azumarill, was he not clean there?
I think it's one of those things. Do you know what? I do this in Go Battle League all the time. I think, oh, actually, I can quickly come in and snipe and get a little bit of an energy advantage, and then they just throw a charge attack, and I'm like, well, I didn't really want to take that. And I think that's what happened there, so I completely sympathize and understand it.
While that may have been a play based on another read of something else in the back, let's say it was a Moltres in the back, that could be a little different, right?
I mean, you were pretty confident that that play rough would take out that Azumarill. And the fact that David had a high enough rank Azumarill to hold on and get a play rough off, that was pretty huge.
He understood that. He understood the assignment essentially, and knew his win condition was getting a couple counters off on that Annihilate, resisting those Poison Sneaks, dealing those Rage Fists, and going to a game number 4 against Stonecollection. It's gonna be Clairsire into Toxapex. What a funny lead again.
Here we go. Let's have a look at those backlines. Look at that. Whoever wins this lead matchup could get the alignment that could take them to victory in this game 4. Let's see how these players play it out. Let's remember, PvpDavid last time allowed his Toxapex to go down.
This could be a huge problem if he lets that happen again. But of course, he thinks that with the energy advantage, the Annihilate should be able to sweep through this team. I think even if you use that Annihilate to counter down the Toxapex, the Gastrodon doesn't have much of a chance.
This is going to be really, really close. Annihilate has a ton of play into the backline. Can you protect shields for Annihilate, or are you going to fully invest in this Toxapex here? Let's remember, Toxapex wins the zero shield scenario against Clairsire. Stonecollection, I think, is happy to soft lose this, right?
If he soft loses this, what does he come in with? Gastrodon? Because that energy's not going to go very far. Oh my goodness, he goes straight to the Gastrodon.
Here comes the Moltres. Stonecollection smiles. This is looking really good for David.
I think David is getting closer to the regional championship here. Body slams onto this Galar Moltres is not going to do a lot of damage, but Moltres has to be very careful. They have to farm up a lot and then go for the Ancient Power. If you go for a Brave Bird, that could be very risky.
You don't need to go for the Brave Bird. Like Eric says, just go for the Ancient Power. Start to chip this down. Sucker Punch is coming through. PvpDavid in the driver's seat in this game in the Grand Finals reset.
Is he going to keep his hands on the wheel, though, as this body slam comes through? It's just in range for another one. PvpDavid has to be very meticulous about his counts here. Needs to throw this Ancient Power before this next body slam comes through. Will he do so? 3, and then 4 for the Ancient Power. Perfect charge attack timing and perfect move counts from PvpDavid. Taking down the Gastrodon. What will Stonecollection do now? The Dugong.
Ready? We're going to see a Pokemon come back in as soon as Stonecollection. PvpDavid's nodding his head. The Annihilate is about to feast.
Annihilate into this Dugong. So much damage, but at the same time, these Icy Winds aren't nothing. It's still going to be doing something to the Annihilate. He may have to shield this one.
You may
up.
as well, right? Because it's going to do more damage than Sludge Bomb or Stone Edge from Clairsire.
Shield number 1 being put up by PvpDavid. It's up to Stonecollection to try to make a catch here. Rage Fist comes down.
I don't think a catch is going to make a difference because you Rage Fist boost through anything.
Yeah, now the Annihilate has reached damage equilibrium again. It has re-boosted itself to neutral. Can he reach this next Icy Wind? Will there be a catch? No, it doesn't look like it. And now,
shield this. You have
to shield this.
Because you can hold onto a Sludge Bomb or a Stone Edge. For anyone at home, should you drop Earthquake on Clairsire?
Absolutely not! Here comes that Icy Wind, and it goes to the surrender and exit.
Yes! PvpDavid gets his World's Invite. He wins the Stuttgart Regional Championship!
With the Typhlosion on the bench the entire time, Toxapex takes the victory here inside of Stuttgart with the Diggersby. We started the season with Claude, and we ended with...
Are you not entertained? Diggersby Toxapex taking it all. Annihilate is your king. PvpDavid is your champion!